The trading floor, whether physical or digital, is not primarily an economic arena. It is a psychological battlefield. The average speculator arrives for this battle dangerously unprepared. He brings with him a sound strategy, perhaps, a set of indicators, and a degree of market knowledge. But he also carries two invisible and treacherous enemies within his own mind: hope and fear. These two forces, not a flawed system, are the architects of his eventual ruin. He feels their pull with every tick of the price. When a trade moves against him, the warm, soothing voice of hope whispers that he should hold on, that it will surely turn around. When a trade moves in his favor, the cold, sharp voice of fear screams at him to sell immediately, to lock in the meager profit before it vanishes. He is a puppet, and these two emotions are the masters pulling his strings. He believes his problem is external. He searches for a better indicator, a more accurate news source, a secret formula that will grant him certainty in an uncertain world. He fails to realize that the enemy is not in the market, the enemy is within. The challenge is not to predict the market, but to control himself. This self-control, this emotional discipline, seems like an elusive, almost mystical quality. But for the greatest speculator who ever lived, Jesse Livermore, emotional discipline was not a matter of innate temperament or mystical power. It was the result of a conscious, daily practice built upon a single, foundational rule. This one rule, when applied with unwavering fidelity, brings order to the inner chaos and transforms the emotional gambler into a cold, calculating professional. It is the North Star by which all decisions are guided, the bedrock upon which a career of speculation must be built. It is a principle of absolute and final authority, a command that, once accepted, simplifies the entire complex game of the market into a series of clear, logical choices. It is the great firewall between emotion and action. That rule is this: the ticker tape is the ultimate truth. The price and the volume, the objective, unfolding story of the market's action, must be treated as the supreme and only authority. The speculator's opinion is worthless. His hopes are a liability. His fears are a delusion. The opinions of others are noise. Only the tape tells the unvarnished, moment-to-moment truth. To truly accept this rule is to undergo a profound psychological transformation. It requires the speculator to dethrone his own ego as the center of his trading universe and replace it with the cold, impersonal facts of the tape. He must learn to listen to the market, not to the frantic chatter of his own mind. Think of it this way: the speculator is a lawyer who formulates a theory about a case, his trade idea. He presents this theory to the court. The ticker tape is the judge. It listens to his argument and then delivers its verdict in the language of price movement. If the price moves in his favor, the verdict is, for now, positive. If it moves against him, the verdict is negative. The disciplined speculator never argues with the judge. He accepts the verdict instantly and without emotion. There is no room for hope that the verdict will be overturned. There is no fear of the verdict's consequences. There is only the fact of the price action and the necessary, logical response. This is the beginning and the end of emotional discipline. Let us dissect how this one rule systematically dismantles the speculator's inner enemies, starting with the most seductive and costly of them all: hope. Hope is the emotional anesthetic that allows a trader to sit with a losing position, the pain of his error numbed by the fantasy of a miraculous recovery. The undisciplined trader enters a position. The stock begins to drop. The tape is telling him a clear story: your judgment was wrong. The path of least resistance is currently downwards. This is a simple fact, but the trader refuses to listen to the tape. He listens instead to the voice of hope inside his head. Hope tells him, this is just a temporary dip. The fundamentals are good. It was a bargain before, and it's an even better bargain now. He may even average down, adding to his losing position, an act of financial insanity fueled entirely by hope's delusion. He is ignoring the truth of the tape in favor of his own preferred fiction. The speculator who lives by the number one rule does not have this problem. When the stock drops, he does not consult his feelings. He consults the tape. The tape's verdict is clear. He is wrong. And so, he sells. He takes the small, manageable loss. He does this not because he is a pessimist, but because he is a realist. He has trained himself to accept the tape's judgment as final. He has, through the disciplined application of this one rule, surgically removed hope from his trading process. A loss is no longer a personal failure to be denied. It is simply a piece of information from the market, a signal to be acted upon. By silencing hope, he protects his capital and preserves his mental clarity for the next opportunity. The same principle applies to the second great enemy, fear. Fear is the emotion that whispers to the trader when he is in a winning position. The trade is working, the stock is climbing, and the tape is confirming his initial judgment. The trend is strong. But as his profits grow, so does his fear, the fear of giving those profits back. This fear has no basis in the reality of the market's action. It is a purely internal, emotional phantom. It screams at him. Sell now. Take the money and run before it disappears. The undisciplined trader succumbs to this fear. He sells far too early, cutting his profit short and violating the cardinal rule of letting winners run. He snatches a small meal and leaves a feast on the table. The disciplined speculator, once again, ignores the inner voice of his emotions and consults his one true authority, the tape. What is the tape telling him? It says the stock is acting correctly. It is advancing with strong volume. The trend remains intact. There is no factual, tape-based reason to sell. And so, he holds. He sits tight with the courage of his convictions, a courage born not of bravado, but of his unwavering trust in the tape. This is how great fortunes are made, not by eliminating risk, but by having the discipline to stay with a major trend for its entire duration. This discipline is impossible for the trader who listens to his own fear. It is the natural state of the trader who listens only to the tape. The number one rule conquers fear by making it irrelevant. This leads us to the third great enemy, the speculator's own ego. The ego is the part of the mind that despises being wrong. When a trade goes against the egotistical speculator, he feels it as a personal insult. His opinion was rejected by the market, and his pride is wounded. He thinks, I am an intelligent person. My analysis was sound. The market is being irrational. This line of thinking is a direct violation of the number one rule. The disciplined speculator knows that the statement the market is wrong is a logical absurdity. The market, as represented by the tape, is the sum of all actions and all knowledge. It is the ultimate reality. It cannot be wrong. An individual's opinion, on the other hand, can be, and very often is, wrong. By submitting to the supremacy of the tape, the speculator depersonalizes the entire process. A losing trade is no longer a judgment on his intelligence or his self-worth. It is simply the tape communicating that his hypothesis was incorrect at that particular time. He accepts this feedback without emotional injury, closes the position, and analyzes the error to improve his future judgment. This is the source of true confidence. It is not the arrogant confidence of the ego, which is brittle and easily shattered. It is the quiet, profound confidence of a man who knows he has a reliable method for discerning the truth and the discipline to act on it. His confidence is not in his own infallibility, but in the infallibility of his rule. The rule also insulates the speculator from the noise of the crowd. The average trader is constantly seeking external validation. He wants tips. He wants to know what the experts are saying. He wants the comfort of knowing that others agree with his position. He is trying to serve two masters, the tape and the opinions of other men. Livermore knew this was a path to disaster. The crowd is almost always wrong at major turning points. The news is, by its nature, a lagging indicator, reporting on events that the tape has already discounted. A hot tip is the most dangerous poison of all, for it encourages a man to act without his own thinking, making him dependent and weak. The speculator who follows the rule of the tape becomes, by necessity, a lone wolf. He does his own work. He forms his own conclusions based on the market's action. The opinions of others, no matter how eloquent or authoritative they may seem, are disregarded as noise. He cultivates a state of absolute intellectual independence. His mind becomes an uncluttered space, free from the distracting and emotionally manipulative chatter of the financial world. He focuses on the one thing that cannot lie, the simple, unfolding story of price and volume. This clarity of focus is an insurmountable advantage over the trader whose mind is a chaotic chorus of other people's views. The number one rule also cultivates the supreme virtue of patience. The undisciplined trader feels a constant itch to be in the market. He mistakes action for progress. His impatience leads him to take subpar trades, to force opportunities where none exist. This is an emotional need, not a strategic one. The disciplined speculator, guided by the tape, waits. He sits patiently, sometimes for days or weeks, observing the market, doing nothing. He is waiting for the tape to give him an unambiguous signal. He is waiting for what Livermore called the pivotal point, the moment of confirmation when a stock or the entire market breaks out of a consolidation and signals its intention to begin a major move. He does not act on a hunch. He does not act out of boredom. He waits for the evidence. His patience is not a passive state. It is an active and vigilant form of discipline. It is the deep respect he has for his own capital, refusing to risk it until the odds are stacked firmly in his favor, a condition that only the tape can confirm. Once the signal is given and the position is taken, the rule cultivates the other side of patience, the courage to hold. As discussed, the fear of losing a profit is a powerful temptation to sell too early. The rule provides the fortitude to resist this temptation. The speculator continually refers back to his authority. What is the tape saying now? Is the stock continuing to act as a leader? Is it advancing on strong volume and pulling back on light volume? Is it behaving as it should in a strong trend? As long as the answers confirmed by the tape are yes, he has no logical reason to sell. His decision is not based on how he feels about his profit, but on how the stock acts according to the tape. This allows him to ride the great swings, the moves that create real wealth. The small, nervous trader is shaken out by minor corrections. The disciplined speculator, holding fast to his rule, weathers these storms, his eyes fixed on the trend, not the temporary squalls. The practical application of this rule transforms the speculator's daily routine. He begins his day not by absorbing the opinions of the morning news, but by studying the action of the market itself. He analyzes the behavior of the leading groups and their key stocks, forming an opinion, a market bias, for the day. But he holds this opinion lightly. It is a hypothesis, nothing more. He then waits for the opening action of the tape to confirm or deny his hypothesis. He is a scientist observing an experiment. He does not try to force the experiment to produce his desired result. He watches the data unfold. If the tape's action confirms his bias, he acts, decisively and without hesitation. If the tape's action contradicts his bias, he is equally decisive. He stands aside, or if he is in a position, he closes it out. His ego is not involved. He simply followed the evidence. His actions are responses, not predictions. He keeps a journal, but its purpose is not just to track profits and losses. Its primary purpose is to audit his own adherence to the number one rule. For each trade, he asks, did I act based on the tape, or did I allow hope, fear, or ego to influence my decision? Did I listen to an outside opinion? Did I get impatient? This relentless self-analysis is how the discipline is forged. Ultimately, the consistent application of this one rule leads to a state of mind that is the speculator's greatest asset, a calm, detached, and objective perspective. By outsourcing the truth to the tape, he frees himself from the agonizing internal debate of being right or wrong. He is liberated from the psychological torment that plagues the average trader. The market is no longer a personal antagonist, but a stream of impersonal data to be interpreted and acted upon. He ceases to be a gambler, tossed on the emotional waves of greed and panic. He becomes a scientist, a strategist. This emotional discipline is not a gift bestowed upon a chosen few. It is a skill, acquired through the rigorous, daily practice of submitting one's own will and emotions to a higher authority. For Jesse Livermore, that authority was the ticker tape. It was his one commandment: thou shalt have no other gods before the tape. He knew that the moment a speculator begins to listen to hope, to fear, to his own ego, or to the crowd, he is lost. He has abandoned the source of truth for the sources of delusion. This single rule is the key that unlocks the door to a professional mindset. It is the foundation upon which all other trading rules are built. It is the source of patience, courage, and humility. It is, in the final analysis, the price of admission to the small, exclusive club of speculators who achieve lasting success.